Hey everybody, Jamie Kelly here. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Season 3 of the Approximate Podcast. Be sure to join our Patreon for only $5 a month to see all of Season 3's episodes in full HD video. That's patreon.com/approximate podcast. If you're already a patron, thank you so much for your support. And to everyone who's tuned in, we love you all. And now, on with the show. Kitty! Fucking stop it! God damn it. Fucking cat. Yeah, you. Oi. Scrapple. Stop it. All right, cut. We're done. Fucking cat. God damn it. Zariah, sweetheart, how you doing, baby?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me, Jamie.
Thank you. I can't believe we got you. You're the hottest thing on the planet right now. Jesus Christ.
Thank you, babe. Thank you so much.
And we also have Nicky
Zeal, yep.
I don't know where to start. I'm super excited about this because I'm in a position like we don't really know each other, right?
Yeah, no.
So I get to learn about you at the same time the audience gets to learn about you. So I got a million questions. So first of all, you two, what are y'all to each other?
So this is my fiance.
Your fiance. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Is there a date set?
Yeah. We're getting married in September of next year on the 21st. So
Son of a bitch.
374 days.
Yeah, just over a year.
Mazel tov.
Thank you.
We're so excited.
Yes, very excited. We got engaged
May 21st.
Yeah, I was about to say it was almost 5 months ago, but I'm thinking of that one.
How long have you been together?
In December, it'll be 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
So by the time we're getting married, it'll almost be 3 years together. So
She swept me off my feet right away.
I saw like how special it was. The moment you guys walked in, seeing like y'all's interactions, like these guys.
I love this boy.
They're in love.
Fucking awesome. First of all, let's kind of ease our way in. You're just coming off of a set that you shot. You just shot a scene.
Yeah, I just finished a little over an hour ago.
Who'd you shoot for?
I shot for Groovy, and it's going on Bob's T-Girls, and it was for T-Girl Tops, and it was with Pierce Paris, so I'm so excited.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I haven't worked with Paris. How was it?
Oh, it was hot. Yeah, he's really hot. I've looked at his stuff for years, and so I've always wanted to work with him, and he's such a sweetie. It was a really good experience. He's so hot, and our chemistry was good, and so I couldn't keep my hands off him right when I got there.
Fantastic. And you shot with a Radius, right?
Yes, I love Radius.
As the producer? Sweet.
Yep.
This is not your first shoot with Groovy. This is like many.
Yeah. Actually, Radius is the producer I've worked with the most for Groovy. And
so you do a lot of the Groovy shooting here then?
So at the beginning when I first started, right when I first started, he was the one that was shooting me all the time. So he was the one that kind of introduced me to everyone. So yeah, I love Radius. And then now I work a lot with Buddy in LA.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. How much have you been able to work with Buddy?
Oh, a good amount. Yeah, we actually have a lot of projects coming up. So I actually work with him tomorrow. Yeah, I'm going straight to LA. Is it tomorrow? No, sorry, not tomorrow. Thursday morning we leave, and that afternoon I shoot with Buddy again. And so yeah,
wow.
Busy week.
Busy. Where are you coming from?
So I live in North Hollywood.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're just going back home and
we're just gonna go back
right up
home.
the street to Buddy's place.
Yup, exactly.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now we live near each other.
Much
Gotcha.
closer. Yep.
What other gigs did you have in Vegas? Was it just the one with Radius, or?
So I had obviously this with you, the one with Radius, tomorrow working with Transnificent. So another part of Groovy, and we're going to be shooting together. We have, I think, a threesome that we're doing. He's doing some solos, and then probably going to do some collabs before we go.
So for Transnificent, so are you shooting with Nicky Sequoia? Is that your?
Yes,
Yeah,
I love
Nicky's
Nicky.
my
I love Nicky.
favorite.
Oh yeah.
Well, we recently just had her on. It was like
really?
one or two back, but yeah, Nicky's just my buddy.
Nicky's the best. Nicky's actually the person who really got me ready for all these big sets that I work on. Right when I first started, there was the first person that shot me. So
Discovered her.
Yeah,
Discovered
Nicky
her.
Sequoia. I walked on set and they were like, "What?" They were like, "Who are you?" They're like, "Wait, how has Groovy not found you?" And so they were super excited to shoot me before Groovy. And then once Groovy saw me, they were like, "Oh, we want her."
how long have you been in this business, and where did you get your start? How did you trip backwards into it, or whatever the case may be? Take your time with this answer.
Oh goodness. So I was already doing like some OnlyFans stuff before I met Nicky, and I actually went with my ex-partner for one of their first shoots with Transnificent, and Nicky and Penny saw me, and they, right when I walked on set, they were like, who the fuck is this girl? And so they were like, do you do porn? And I was like, why do OnlyFans stuff? I was like, I kind of a little like nervous to do the actual like porn stuff, because I had already been asked by I actually didn't know it was Groupie who had asked me if I wanted to work with them, and something fell through with the scheduling when they were in Denver. So I didn't end up shooting, and when I went in December of 2022, I ended up going on set, or sorry, not in December, it was November. And so I went in November, I met Penny and Nicky. They fell in love with me, and they were like, oh girl, like you need to do porn. And so they booked me the next month in December. And when I got there, they booked me for like 7 shoots, and they had me on all of the sites that they did. You know, they did the trans burps, they did the trans toes, they did trans heights, they had me for trans roommates. And so they worked me out that week. And so they right away were like, girl, you've got it. Like, you know what you're doing. You know how to model and pose, and you are a good top. And at that time, I wasn't doing any bottoming. I was just doing topping. And so, yeah, they showed me the ropes. Nicky especially, like, just like took hold of me and like really told me that like, you have superstar potential. Like, you definitely are somebody who's gonna like, you know, blossom in the industry. And so I really loved all of the attention to detail that Nicky, you know, puts into every shoot. And Penny and Nicky were working so well together, and yeah, they taught me a lot of things. They told me, oh, this is what's gonna happen when you get on these sets, like be ready for this, like they're not gonna treat you the same way as like we're treating you. Like, we're kind of like not like holding you by the hand, but we're like giving you all of like the inside outs of the industry before you get to these big mainstream sites. And so they really prepared me. And I ended up, after my shoots, like 2 weeks later, I like blew up on Twitter, and everybody in Vegas was like, we want to shoot this girl. And so they were super excited that they got to shoot me before Groovy. And so they were like, well, damn, once Groovy sees you, they're going to definitely want to work with you. And so I sent in my application for Groovy very next morning. Not even a whole day happened, and Steven messaged me. He's like, oh yeah, we're gonna shoot you with Radius, and when are you back in Vegas? And so I came back to Vegas, and then Radius like started shooting me with the girls, then started shooting me with the boys, and then it just took off from there, and it's been amazing. It's been a really good ride with Groovy.
So this all started essentially 2 years ago?
In November, it'll be 2 years that I went on set, and then December was my first shoots that I did with trans roommates, and then March of last year was my first shoots with Groovy.
What got you, like, what was your last job before you discovered OnlyFans, and what was that like transition like?
Oh goodness. So I actually did phone service for many years, and so
She was really good at it too.
Am I able to say like what company it is? Like, can I say that?
Yeah.
So it was the last company I worked with was T-Mobile, and so I was a manager and trainer, and I ran my own stores for years with different phone companies. First started with Verizon. They trained me really well, and so I got really good at the tech stuff. And yeah, I did that for years. I loved it so much. It was something that I still even now would love to do, but obviously it's like so different. And yeah, so I had done some OnlyFans stuff. a bunch of my customers started to realize who I was through OnlyFans stuff. So they were coming into the store all the time, and it just kind
Really?
of made things a little bit awkward because people were bringing up the fact that I was like a sex worker at my work, and I was like, oh my god, like don't talk about this, you know. And so I actually I actually ended up getting fired because I was stupid and I decided to, since it was my store and I was there by myself, I shot a video in the bathroom at work, and it was just me. And you could just see my uniform in the back. Like you could just see, it wasn't like even on, like you could just see the back of it. And so they sent it to my boss. It was just it was an employee who was jealous of the fact that I was getting like special treatment because I was so good at my job. I could kind of do whatever I wanted. I could leave work early. I scheduled myself off when I needed to. And so I got a lot of privileges because I was so good. I was a really amazing salesperson. And I had just won an award for being the top salesperson for T-Mobile, the number one in all of Colorado. That's where I lived. And so I was the number one salesperson for T-Mobile there. And then I was the number 10 in the country. And so this girl was mad, and she ended up sending the video to my boss. And he was like, we can't keep you as much as I want to keep you. I have to fire you. And so I just kind of took it. I was like, whatever, fine. If that's what's going to happen, I'm going to put my all into sex work. And so I started doing OnlyFans a little bit more. Everybody in Denver knew me as a drag queen. And so all of them started to find out that I was doing sex work. And they were like, oh my God, we see you all over the place. You're so hot, blah, blah, blah. And then, I transitioned from doing just the OnlyFans stuff to then the studio. And I really liked the studio stuff. I liked the acting, and I liked the campiness of the first scenes that I did, you know? So I was like, oh, I love campy stuff. And yeah, it was really crazy just because everything like snowballed so fast for me. Like it just like completely from one day to the other, everyone knew who I was. People were asking to shoot with me, and Groovy was really, really pushing me. So it wasn't a bad transition. It was actually rather easy. But then I just worked so much and then just kept working. So I've been working the whole time, and so it's been great, and it hasn't slowed down at all. It's actually picking up pace right now. It's going.
Fantastic!
So, yeah.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you so much.
So I'm picking up on something right away. You said people in Colorado knew you as a drag queen. Were you working clubs?
Yeah. So I did.
Tell me about that.
So I actually started at Club Q in Colorado Springs. That was my home bar. And so I ended up starting drag in 2018.
Okay.
And I also instantly took off in drag. I did my first show. It was an amateur show. It was an open night for like people to come and like perform, and it was for new like amateur performers. And I performed, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, like where are you from? Like you have to be from out of town. Like who booked you? Like where do you work?" I was like, "This is my very first show," and everyone was like, "No fucking way." So I ended up performing 5 times out of the week after that, and so I did it for free for a long time. And so it was just me getting my name out there. I got found by a family, the DeMarcos, and they loved me. And so they had given me all these like goals that I had to do in order to become part of the family. But then like everyone liked me so much, and they right away like liked me, and I was doing so good. They just right away made me a DeMarco. So I was Regina DeMarco for a long time. And then I started to work in Denver. And in Denver, I ended up becoming a Stax. So I changed my name from Regina DeMarco to Regina D. Stax. And the Stax is like one of the most like legendary houses in Denver. And so I started to do some much bigger shows. I was performing with a bunch of the RuPaul girls.
Became locally famous.
Yeah, it was great. They loved me, and they still do. My community in Denver absolutely loves me. They love what I'm doing now, and so they are very supportive. And so I went from doing drag and like being in front of cameras all the time and like performing for audiences to doing this, and it was just such an easy transition for me. Like I enjoy it so much.
That's amazing, first of all. But we're going to keep diving backwards. Drag is, we know, it's a very particular thing. It's not trans.
Yeah.
So I'm there's some backstory there that I want to hear about.
No, there is.
So like,
Let's see. So
Tell me about your early life, I guess is what I'm saying.
yeah, no problem. So when I was younger, I definitely started to realize from a very young age that I was not the same as all the other boys, and I was very different. I was super girly, very feminine. I wanted to have long hair, and I wanted to play with girl stuff, and my mom was super okay with that, like loved me being like super femme and stuff, and like was very supportive of that. And then
Let me interrupt you for just a second, but like, at about what age did you start feeling those feelings?
so that was, oh goodness. My family says when I was like 1, they realized that I was different. They were like, oh, they're very femme. My mom was like, they're different. They're going to be either gay or a girl. Like something's there, you know?
Do you come from a big
And,
family? A lot of brothers
yeah.
and sisters?
Yes. There's 8 of us. And
Oh.
so I was like right in the middle. And I was actually the first boy. And so that was definitely something tough for my dad. That he was like, oh, my first boy is like super femme. And like he was not okay with anything like that. So him and my mom like kind of like got into it for a long time because like as I was growing up, I was like I was 1 when they realized that was happening. And my dad was like, no. And she was like, leave him alone. And so about 3 years old, I started to like, I feel, because that's when I started to have like memories and stuff. And so I started to realize that like I wanted to be a girl. Like I wanted to be around girls. I felt like a girl. But unfortunately, my dad was like so against it that I like was too scared to talk about it. And so I just started to hide that from myself. And then unfortunately, a few years later, my mom passed away. And so when she passed away, it was like, instantly going from her buying me, dolls and like, letting me be the way that I am and going straight to, you're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to be, I know you want to be a girl. You can't be a girl. You'll never be a girl. And like, my dad really like emotionally, like was just like horrible about it and like did not allow me to be at all any type of feminine. And he didn't like that I talked with my hands and he didn't like that I just expressed myself in a different way. So
Was there support from your siblings?
so no, unfortunately. So because my dad was the one like running the house, and my mom had passed away, my dad pretty much like let my family know that they weren't like that I wasn't allowed to act that way or be that way. So anytime I was overly feminine or I got caught playing with a toy that I wasn't supposed to or whatever, my dad was the first to know about it, and they were told, pretty much like taught to not allow me to
Rat
act
you
that
out.
way. Yeah, rat me out if I was doing something that I shouldn't, if I was acting gay or whatever. And so yeah, I didn't get a lot of support from my siblings on it. They actually treated me really badly about it. And so it was kind of like I was just kind of the one getting picked on at home, because they were like, oh, they're so different. They are gay. They're this, they're that. It got even worse than that. But like, yeah, they were not supportive up until I started to get closer to my teen years, when I finally started to have my sisters like realize they're like, well, they're not changing, this is who they are. And my older sister had like moved away, and she was the one that was like, you know what, like I know you're different, like it's okay. One of my aunts was like super supportive, and like she, from like me being a kid, was always like, it's okay, like you're different and that's fine. So I started getting support from my aunts and stuff like that. But then yeah, I think it was around like 9 or 10 years old that I discovered RuPaul, and that's when I started to like dive into like the feminine side there and go, well, I guess I'm not a girl. I can just be a boy who dresses up like a girl. And like that, it was my way of like avoiding the trans thing and like, oh, I don't have to transition,
I not to interrupt your story because there's so much more I want to know, but for me, I don't know if it was like you're saying a little younger. I held all the same stuff until puberty hit. When puberty hit, I exploded, and I had a bad dad too. I had a reasonably supportive mom around the time of puberty.
Yeah.
And things. Now she's my best friend in the world.
Oh, I love that.
But the thing is, I stopped giving a fuck. Like once I hit puberty, I would cut off shorts. I would put up with my dad yelling at me about it because I had a chip on my shoulder about authority.
Oh yeah.
So I'd get in trouble.
Yeah.
Where there should not be trouble, but I'd get in trouble because I just didn't care. I just gotta.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. And so I did I think it was like mostly through high school, I did try to like, for the sake of, I guess, society, I was like, okay, well, I can't be all the way. So what I discovered was being a goth kid. Because being a goth kid and also being a musician, a young musician too, now I have an excuse. I can wear black and eye makeup.
The androgyny of it all.
I can androgyny, and then because people knew that I was a musician, or I could like blame it on goth, I could be as femme as I want, and they go, "Oh, well, that's just some weirdo."
Yeah.
It was that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then slowly but surely, because I didn't give a shit about goth. I had never heard a Bauhaus record. I didn't know anything about. I wasn't invested. I just was looking for an excuse.
Yeah.
But eventually, yeah, it was a very gradual shift for me. I'm probably, I don't know, how old are you right now, if you don't mind my asking?
I'm 26.
Okay, so I'm almost 20 years your senior. I'm like 18 years your senior.
Mm-hmm.
And the availability of resources and things and social stigma even, like 18 years before you, like we had nothing. The internet was barely a thing.
Nothing to
there
look,
was
look at and stuff.
Yeah, so there was no way to really do it. I didn't actually fully come out until I was 31 years old.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And that's when I started HRT regimen, and it was all gray market,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, as soon as the information became available, I started. Now, the kids, I mean, they build them good young these days.
Oh yeah. Lucky. But no, just like you with that, I started to also kind of like go against authority once I started to be a teen too, and I was just kind of like, I found my friends and I was going out with them, and I was able to tell them that I felt like I was, gay or bi or whatever I was feeling. And they were supportive. Only at one point, my dad found out. Somebody told him that I had said something at school, and my dad freaked out and has sat me down. He took me to the mall, and took my whole family to the mall, and then he had everyone leave us alone, and we sat down at this bench at the mall in Colorado Springs, and he's like, "You are not, and I don't ever want to hear you say that again." And I was like, "What?" And he goes, "You know what I'm talking about, and I don't want you to say that again. And you will not be, and I will kick you out if you are. And that is not something that I will allow." And so I ended up hiding that from my family, from myself, and pushing away from it. But it just kept getting, worse. I just couldn't, not even worse. I don't know if that's even the word I should use.
Unavoidable.
Unavoidable.
Unavoidable,
I could not sit there and not think about it. And it would just be something that I was yearning towards and I needed to do. And
you're just not built to repress.
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah. And so I think that once my dad really noticed that, he then started getting a little bit more concerned with my mental health, because I was acting out a lot. I had started to do drugs, and I was just acting out and not being at home. I wasn't at home at all, and my parents were like, "Where the fuck are you?" And so they were starting to get worried. And then unfortunately, not to get dark or anything, but I tried to kill myself. And when that happened, my dad completely flipped. He was like, "Oh my God, my kid is gonna kill themselves if I don't support them." And so my dad, it was the first time I ever seen my dad cry. And he was in the hospital with me, and he was like, "Why would you do this? Why would you do this?" And I was like, "You're not letting me be me. I'm literally dying because I can't be myself, and I don't want to be home. I don't want to be with you. I don't want to even live because I can't be me." So it started off with that first step of saying that I was queer. And the very first thing my dad said, "Okay, that's fine. Just please don't become a girl." And I said, "Oh my God, that's even literally something that I think, but I don't want to say it then." And so
Wow.
it took a few more years for me to finally be able to start to express that feminine side even more. and I had been doing my nails, I had been doing makeup and stuff like that. And my dad said, as long as you're still a boy, like it's cool. And then once the drag thing started, that's whenever he started to get a little bit more relaxed with everything. He's like, you know what, like as long as you're doing your thing at night. He was fighting. He's like, go do your thing at night, but during the day still be a boy. And it took some years of him seeing that for him to finally like come around, you know.
It was gradually little compromises here and there, but it took time.
Yeah, it did. And I think for him, I don't know if he'll ever admit it, but I think it was him noticing that his family was more supportive than he was. And he was like, well, damn, I can't let them outshine me. You know,
I was going to say, did that have an effect?
Yeah, because he started seeing that his sisters were, you know, very supportive of me. And my then sisters started to be more supportive of me as well. And so then my whole family just started to be supportive except for my dad. And so my stepmom had to like tell him like multiple times, like, you're going to lose your kid if like you don't start supporting them. And so
am I hearing this right? Was your stepmom supportive right from the get-go?
Not from the get-go. So she was also one of the ones that was like reporting back to my dad whenever I was being a certain type of way. I remember one time she caught me playing with toys that I shouldn't have been, and she freaked out. My dad freaked out. And like anytime she'd get mad at me, she would like call me mean names about being a girl in like Spanish and stuff, and like, oh, quieres ser vieja, like you want to be a girl, blah blah blah. And but then like once she started to realize that like she was fucking me up and my dad was fucking me up, they were like, okay, you know what, like we have to support them. And then my stepmom started to like get more integrated into American culture because my family's from Mexico. And so my stepmom started to really get more ingrained into the American culture and was like, you know what? We're in America. Like, you should be able to do and be and say whatever the fuck you want because you're an American and it's your right, you know? And so she started to kind of like let my dad know that and push him towards supporting me. And so it was very beautiful. My relationship with my stepmom has really gone to a completely different level. She's an amazing person. I love her very much. And now my dad too, he's actually super supportive and
really
loves the fuck out of me. And he actually just recently apologized to me not even 2 weeks ago, week ago maybe. Messaged me because I sent him this video on Facebook. There was this video of this beautiful trans woman and like her experience with like being a boy and like treated badly about it, and like wanting to be a girl and like being different. And so I sent this video to my dad and I just said, can you please watch this? And he instantly messages me and he goes, I love you. And my dad never really says I love you. Mm-hmm. And so he said, I love you. And then he tried calling me and I was sleeping. And then he messaged me like not even 2 hours later. He goes, I just want to say I'm so sorry for the way that I treated you, the things that I said to you, the times that I hit you, the times that I, did not understand you and like your transformation as a person. It was something new to me and something that I never understood, but I just want you to know that I am sorry and I love you. And I was like, what? My dad said I'm sorry finally? Like that was something I needed my whole life. So it was very beautiful, very beautiful. And so
that is so beautiful.
I still have so much more to unpack with it though. Mm-hmm. So like I didn't say I forgave him because I think I still have a lot to go with that. But I think the way that I'm forgiving him is by having a relationship with him, because my other siblings don't have that much of a relationship with him. And I'm the one that now has more of a relationship with my dad. And I was the one that did not have anything with him,
right.
You know? So now I think that's my way of kind of like getting towards the place of forgiveness with him. But I did let him know, I'm like, I appreciate you saying this to me. And I just want you to know that I'm always rooting for you. I always will root for you. And we're always learning. And so I told him that, and he was very happy to hear that from me. And so now he calls me, and literally some of his friends are my fans. And so my dad like will introduce me on FaceTime with his friends because they were like, your kid is Zariah Aura, right? And so my dad's like, oh God, oh please don't talk about it with me. And so my dad will hear people talking about my porn and stuff, and so he'll introduce me to some of his friends. He's like, hey, one of my friends wants to talk to you on FaceTime, like here's a friend. I was like, they got to pay for that.
Right?
I'll say hello for 2 seconds. And so it's actually been really cute. Yes. But it's been really cute to have my dad actually be, having people who he knows like know who I am because they see posts of me and stuff, and they're like, is that Zariah? And so then they're over here like, I want to meet her. And so it's really cool how my name has gotten so big now in the industry that there's people that are coming to my dad and going like, isn't that your kid? And
my
so
goodness.
It's been really trippy, but he's been very supportive and he loves talking about it.
Very proud.
Yeah, very proud about it. He
talks about her, shows her pictures to them.
Yeah.
Oh, she's beautiful. It's my beautiful daughter.
Yeah, so I never expected that from my dad, but I think it took him unfortunately it took him to seeing me as like I am now and like actually seeing me as a feminine person. At first he's like, "Oh, I don't think I could ever see you as a woman," but then like as my transition has gone, I've only been transitioning for over 2.5 years now.
When we say officially, we mean like chemical
With HRT. Yeah, that was 2.5 years.
That's when it becomes official.
Yeah. And so once I think it was over a year and a half, I started to really see all these changes. I got some boobs. I grew them. I didn't get them. I grew them. I got my butt grew and like everything just like changed. I filled in a lot and I look like my mom. So I look just like my mom. Like I'm like her twin. And so my dad was like, dang, he goes, you really do look like your mother. He goes, you act just like her. He goes, I do see you as a woman now. And so now he does see me as a woman and he really does appreciate my beauty. And so it's been nice. He likes how I'm very natural. And so he's just like very, very proud and everything. And he just sees how much more feminine I am and everything. So I don't know. It took him seeing me as an actual woman for him to be like very supportive of it and be like, you know what? I see you. I'm sorry that I stopped you from, doing what you...
Yeah, like seeing her happy, seeing her thriving, that kind of
Oh,
thing.
especially the success. Especially the success. Once the success came about, my dad then even more, like, it's kind of like, I think...
That somehow, like, legitimized it.
Yes, exactly. Because I think in, like, a Mexican household where I grew up, your parents want you to be successful. And if you're not successful, then they, like, as long as you're successful, they're going to support you, If you're not successful or you're not doing something that's actually, like, productive and, like, doing something, like, they don't really support you at that point. They want you to do something that's like of substance, And so for my dad to see that I started doing this and then became so big in it so quickly, he was like, well, dang, yeah, like you're obviously doing something that you're good at, something that you love and that you're successful in. So he was even more proud of it and more, about it. Because also like if I'm going to help my family, with anything, he is going to have to support where that money comes from, where this, all is happening. And so I had to have that conversation with him like, hey, you have to understand that this money's coming from sex work. This success and this, notoriety that I have now is all from my sex work. And you have to, respect that. And if you don't respect that, then you don't really respect my work and you don't respect me as a person. And so then, yeah, he saw the success and he's like, you know what? You're a badass. So
Son of a gun.
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And although it seems like it was a point of like catharsis when you got that text from him.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
That I think you're doing exactly what's right, that it doesn't forgive everything.
Yeah, exactly.
But this like that you're just going to let things play out and let it happen organically, because it had to happen organically to get to that point where he sent you the text.
Because he also has to know that it takes more than just saying it. It takes action. It takes actually being a part of my life even more and like actually supporting me and like what I'm doing. And you can't just say I'm sorry and expect everything to be forgotten, everything to be forgiven. And so I think that was my way of showing him that I'm like, yeah, thank you for this, but I also am not going to straight up say, I forgive you. I'm going to say, I'm going to have a relationship with you.
Right.
I'm going to work towards, more of a forgiveness because I think at that point, the forgiveness is going to be more for me than for him, But I don't want to just forget, everything and like act like everything is, peachy. You can't. And so I think Nicky was one of the ones who helped me a lot with that. He was like, hey babe, like you gotta think about what you're gonna say to him because you can't just automatically let him wash his hands of this. You know, he has to know that he has a lot more work to do.
There's a lot of work to be done. You got to get your hands dirty. It's not just a matter of, oh, I realize this thing. It's now, oh, let's put some action to these words that I'm saying. Now that you're saying them, you're held accountable. And that's the best part, is that she didn't think she was ever going to get that apology. And so we're both going through it, any interaction having with him, I'm over here still a little bit like, is this...
That's nice, but...
Yeah, I mean, this is great. You're being great, but like, where's the accountability? Because that's super important, especially if you're causing anxiety or trauma in somebody's life, especially someone that you claim to care about. Like you need to be able to show that, and they need to be able to actually feel that, not just you showing it and hope and like, oh well, I did that thing. It's no, I did that thing, and was it meaningful to you? Did it help you? And how can we continue to do something like that? So yeah, I wanted to make sure that was something that when she did respond, that she was, taking care of herself and protecting herself still, because you never know what could happen.
Right. You never know. and things are still, there's no hiccups. Things are still pretty good.
So, yeah, it's been
Letting the
been
days
great.
go by, and, because you already did all the work. Like, it's like just to have that conflicting feeling
Yeah.
in your guts. You did so much work, and then he's just now catching up.
Yeah.
And it's not like he doesn't even fully, I imagine, totally understand.
No,
He's
exactly.
it's just like surface level, I get you, but there's like a lot of shit that he has to go
Yeah.
through to really understand his daughter.
I think for me it was now he has to really learn me because he hasn't been around for most of my transition. He lives in Kentucky, and like that's where my family lives right now, and so at least my parents and my two brothers,
Like the immediate family, the
and
core.
then and so they haven't really been around to see all of this, in person, see me thrive in myself and
her
like
being
learn me,
herself
be
fully.
me. So they only get to see online, or like conversations that we have, and so yeah, I definitely am excited to, show myself to my family. And like, I actually recently went and saw the whole other side of my dad's family. It was his parents, his siblings, and my sister and her daughter, and like and her daughters, and all of their family. And they were amazing. They were so amazing. My grandparents were wonderful. Actually, a few years ago, my grandpa, when I came out to him, my dad's stepdad, he gifted me a gold watch, a woman's watch that was my mom's from before she passed away.
Wow.
And so that, I think, was his way of like accepting me because they
Yeah.
saw me for the first time as myself.
Oh, that's so
And
meaningful.
and
That's
he
so
gave me that, and I
awesome.
was like, oh my God, my tata gave me this. I never expected him to do something like that. And then my grandma was super, like, loved my nails and my hair, and she's
her
like, you
hair.
remind me of me when I was younger. And I'm like, that's even a compliment to have my grandparents, who are big people in the church. My tata is a minister, and so for them to be supportive and like loving me and like treating me well, and actually, meeting my partner and like being around, it's been amazing. And so I think that also made my dad kind of be like, well, if they're supporting her, then I have to too, So it's been a back and forth in my head of like really realizing if it's like genuine, or if
Yeah.
it's just face, showing face. But no, I do feel it, especially after that apology, because my dad is not that type of person. My dad does not apologize to anybody. That man does not apologize. So to him apologize to me, I was like, holy shit, this is real.
Something's happening here.
Yeah. He's growing. And I mean, as you get older, you start to realize, the things that you're going to be leaving behind. And if your legacy is that you treated your kids like shit, and that you weren't around for them, and that, other people were, taking the spots that you didn't, fulfill in their life, that's
Right.
that's going to be shitty to, have as your legacy. So I think he's wanting to rebuild himself and reconcile and fix that. So
Yeah, I found that to be true. Like, I'm going to pick on one point of your story where your grandparents were just accepting that, like, it was just nice. It was okay.
yeah.
I find that to be true in my own story, and I think this is probably the thing that happens for a lot of folks in our position is, like, my grandma right away just didn't care because, like, she got secondhand information about me through my mom. I don't have a very strong bond with my grandmother, but as I was growing up, my mom would talk to my grandma about what Jamie's up to and what it is, this weirdo kid that I have. And every few years, I'd be able to like visit my grandma. She lives in California, Apple Valley.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So she's just 5 hours up the street, essentially. And the times that I got to visit her within like being in my mom's company, I'd go in fully dressed, makeup, hair, just, being me, and never batted an eyelash. And I think there's something about grandparents that they've lived enough life.
Yeah.
And they're like, all their rough edges are already smoothed out by like, what it is to like live a life.
Yeah.
And like they already know what the punchline's going to be. I'm not going to treat my grandkid like a son of a bitch because I already know what like that kind of pain is. So they're like a lot more forgiving to their grandkids than they are their actual kids
Yes.
as they were raising them.
Exactly. Actually, that's been one of the things that my dad has been having a tough time with about his parents, is that he feels like they right away changed and like fixed things that they never fixed with their kids, with us. And it was because my dad still has such a grudge towards the way that they raised him and the things that they did, but they fully admit, they're like, yeah, we weren't the best growing up, to your dad, and we weren't the best, parents and people. But now here we are, like, you can't keep treating us this way, because we are changed. We are, fixing things, and we're fixing it with our grandkids, and so that was one of the things that my tata said he had, because people obviously talk and they're like, oh, one of your grandkids is trans and stuff, like, how are you okay with that? And my grandpa's like, I'm just happy that my grandkids are alive, happy, and that they don't want to die anymore, that they're alive. That's all that matters, especially after one of my cousins was murdered years ago. My whole family just completely just changed on the way that they were treating all of us as like kids. They were like, we could lose any of you at any time. And so they completely wanted to be, a lot more accepting of all of us in our lives and the way that we have grown up. And I think especially with me, I've been the most different out of the whole family. And so being the black sheep, being the one that was the first one to come out as queer and really set the tone on how different you can be in a family and how we need to be treated, and like respected as just like the rest of the other grandkids, they have all changed a lot just because of me growing up and seeing my transition, seeing my, evolution as a person.
Yeah, funny that you are still the good person you ever were. You're still a core part of your family. And it sucks that like family can be so blinded to like who you are inside as a person. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I didn't change. I'm still me. You're letting the fucking hair and the makeup fuck with you.
Yeah, exactly. No, yeah, it was actually really beautiful when my grandma first ever saw me with, I literally only wore like lashes and like, I think the tiniest bit of highlight, and I wore this shirt that had like, it was like see-through and you could see my bra underneath and everything. And I like showed up and my grandma just goes, wow, you look so different, but I still see my grandkid there. You're always going to be my grandkid. Mm-hmm. You look beautiful.
There
and
it
I was
is.
like, oh, I was like, that's so sweet, Mm-hmm. And so it's been beautiful. She's been one of the ones that's been trying to keep more of a relationship with me. Even now with all her health issues, she just really has been wanting to remember me as who I was, because I was one of her favorites all the time. She's like, you were my favorite. You were the sweetest. You were the nicest. You were always wanting to hang out with me. And so she remembers that. And I'm glad, because I really was the one always trying to be around her, And so to have her remember that now as like I'm older, she's like, you always have treated me so well. And I was, so why wouldn't I treat you well?
Mm-hmm. That's beautiful. Yeah. I love to hear it. Now, I'm going to take a slight left turn.
Yeah, let's do it.
Because the time is flying by. We're already at 45 minutes.
Oh, wow.
So I'm going to take a slight left turn because I love this talk of love and connection. So I got to ask y'all about y'all. How did y'all meet?
This is my favorite story to tell.
Please, whoever wants to go.
Go ahead.
Well, so I guess I'll start. My perspective was, I was living in Colorado, in northern Colorado. She's living in Denver, and my mom came to visit because my brother had actually just moved there. He's a traveling nurse, so he decided to choose Denver, which was close to me, and I wanted to rebuild a little bit of a relationship with my brother. And so she came down to help me move into my new place, and it was in December, so it was just, it was just around the time she was getting her videos released and everything, and I didn't really know her. We were in some RT groups and stuff like that on Twitter and stuff like that, but we didn't know each other. We just would share each other's pictures and, oh, she's hot, oh, he's hot, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so I was celebrating my mother's birthday 2 days early at a restaurant in Denver, and then my brother was telling me that he had some friends that were hosting this rave night at this club, and I had actually not done much nightlife at all, so I was like, well, my first club, let's go and do it. Like, oh, my first rave? Like, I've never been to a rave before, so I got all my rave out, the most ravey thing I could think of.
It wasn't a rave.
I find out later it's not a rave at all. It's just like a
After party.
rave-themed party, I guess, but it was not a rave whatsoever. But I still was there going, oh, I'm at a rave.
It was a big deal for
Yeah,
you.
I was like, this is awesome. This is the best day of my life kind of stuff. So we go out to dinner, celebrate, and then my brother and I go off to the club. And little did I know, she's celebrating her birthday 2 days early. My mother and her have the same exact birthday.
30 years
30
apart.
years apart.
Wow.
And they're the same person.
Love her. Love her.
Yeah, they gang up on me all the time. Anyway, so yeah, I went and she was doing a drag performance for her birthday, right?
It was my birthday show.
Yeah, so I just missed the show. We'd gotten there late, so I think she was literally still on stage taking pictures with people when I actually came up.
She was wrapping up. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And her ex is trans man, and so I didn't really know any trans men either. I'd heard that the community in Denver was really amazing for trans men, so I was like excited to get out there, see if I could meet some trans men, make some friends, have some brotherhood, like because I just never had that exposure at all to transness as a trans person. And so yeah, I went and I actually recognized her ex from Instagram. I had been following him for years. And so that's what I do to anybody that I had seen on Instagram. I go up and say, hello, hello. Like, I just wanted to say hi.
Recognize me? I'm from the internet.
Yeah, I was like, I love your stuff. I've seen you before. I just wanted to shout out and say hi. I hope you're having a good night. And he was just like, yeah, I'm celebrating my girl's birthday. And he like points over to her, and I look and I see this just beautiful, gorgeous, tall woman, raven haired. She just looks absolutely stunning. And I'm talking, and I was like, oh, okay, that's really cool. And she walks up. She doesn't even look at me, right? She's looking she's looking at him the whole time while she's walking towards me. And she just goes, who's this? And then goes, and whips her like gaze at me. And I was like, whoa. I was like, oh my God.
There it is.
It got me. I was like, ooh, she gagged me a little bit. And so then we introduced each other. And then I told her my username on Twitter. And she was like, oh, actually, I recognize you. And I was like, oh. You recognize me? I was so excited because I didn't think I was much of anything, I didn't expect anybody to recognize me at this place I've never been before. So I'm walking away, my brother was waiting for me, and I was like, they recognized who I was. This is so exciting. We'll see you later. We'll take some pictures. They went off to a couple different clubs and stuff because they know the area. They're going and making their rounds, basically. Everybody knows them, so they got to see everybody's friends and stuff like that. I didn't know anybody. So I go upstairs to this rave, and I'm dancing with my brother's friends, stuff like that, and I see her again as I'm waiting for the bathroom. And what did you end up saying to me? Did you say it or did I say it?
Oh, he had said that he was waiting to take a picture with me, and I was like, okay,
she told me,
sure.
we'll take
I was
pictures.
Like, yeah, we'll take pictures.
like,
So I leave. I was making out with this boy because it was my birthday, so I was being a little hoe. I was out there making out with everybody, and so
I was too. I was having a good night.
Yeah, and I ended up passing by him, and he's like, "Oh my God, I found you again. I thought you guys left." And I was like, he's like, "I've been waiting for my picture," and he like kind of went like that towards me, and so I was like, "Oh yeah," and like I got in his face, and there was just this like instant magnetism.
It felt like slow and fast at the same time.
And we just looked into each other's eyes, and just everything around us just fell apart. There was nothing else, and we just started kissing, and it was like minutes of kissing, and like
cinematic.
Everyone was around us, all of my friends, all of my supporters, my boyfriend at the time, and I like stepped back from him, and I was like, oh, I forgot that everyone was around us, and so I kind of like looked at my boyfriend, and I was like, oh gosh, I was like, I want to take him home. And so I ended up asking him if I could. I was like, for my birthday, can like we take him home? And so we ended up like all like making out, like having a good time there. And then we took him home at a threesome, and we fell for each other so hard.
Absolutely. She was the first trans woman I'd ever been with. It was an amazing threesome. It was an incredible experience. And so I stayed there the whole night. I was supposed to be going with my mom on a road trip all the way back to Illinois from Denver.
My goodness.
So I stayed up the whole night, and I started driving the moment they dropped me off. I hopped in the car and we drove off.
But the crazy thing was that my boyfriend at the time, he looks at me and he goes, you're going to fall in love with this guy.
As I'm walking away.
The moment he walked out of the car, he said that to me, and I was like, would that be a problem? And he goes, no, just don't forget about me, obviously. And so I was like, yeah, of course not, because we were poly and like open and stuff. And so we ended up talking for like a week, and after that we were hanging
She
out
spent
all the
Christmas
time.
with me.
Yeah, it was our first Christmas, and we had just met because it was
like a
my
week
birthday's
later.
December 20th, and then we ended up hanging out for Christmas. We ended up seeing each other all the time after that. So I would drive up to Fort Collins, an hour away from Denver, and I would see him all the time. And then things just started kind of like, we were already having some issues, me and my ex, and so some things happened in January that ended up like we broke up, and then in February we were still trying to like see if we were going to be together or not, and then we just ended up deciding that we weren't going to keep continuing our relationship, and we had been together for like 2 years, but him and I were trying to take it slow because we were talking at the same time as I was with my ex.
I got to ask, because like I was feeling like this was like an elephant in the room. You're already, invested in somebody.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the relationship was kind of
Dwindling out.
faltering.
Yep.
And
Before I
all the
even
way
met
out.
her, they were
So, like, you didn't come and
no.
steal her from someone.
He
Oh, yeah.
swears.
The
He
ex
swears
will
that
say different,
he swears that he
but-
came in and stole me, but that's not true. We were already having our issues, and so that was like
Their breakup had nothing to do with
yeah.
it.
And so then once
But
we
he
did-
will say that it was all me.
That makes sense.
but then anyway, once we finally did like break up and stuff, him and I were still trying to take it slow. I kind of got scared for a little bit there because at that time I was getting even bigger, and I was like a month away from shooting with Groovy. I had already started to get my following, my fans, everything, and people
She was
were kind of
blowing
like,
up right when I met her. She
People were like,
started blowing up.
"Are you sure he's not like using you to like get into the industry and like all this stuff?" And I was like, "No," like, but then they scared me and they made me think that that's what was happening. So I kind of like for a week
She
didn't talk to
ghosted
him.
me, and I was like,
Oh,
what did I do?
And
I ended up
so-
texting her like, are we? What's going on? I don't know. Did I do something?
So I ended up like, talking to him. We've talked about things, and I made sure that he was like actually invested in me and like he wasn't just trying to like use me or whatever. And so yeah, I think we ended up coming to Vegas.
Yeah,
in-
she had actually gotten me the scene with Transnificent, my first scene.
Yeah,
'Cause when I met
introduced
her, I
Nicky
literally
to them.
said, I think I might stop. I don't really know what I'm doing on OnlyFans. I hadn't had advice from anybody. I didn't really know how to make things work so that I could be successful. And so I was telling her that night that we met, I do it, but I think I might probably have to stop because I don't think it's working out for me. And she went, no. She like turned her head and went, no, you know what? I'm gonna get you booked to the studio. Don't even worry. Like, you have to do it. You have to do it.
So I hit up Nikki
she
right
liked my
away.
Content.
Right.
Yeah. And
So
so
Nikki, meet Nikki.
yeah, literally. And so so then she got me booked with Transnificent with Nikki, and so she ended up meeting me. She was in LA working. She ends up meeting me in Vegas, and she was there as I did my first scenes and everything, and then I asked her to be my girlfriend.
That first night that I went to go see him when he was already with Nikki, he was there. I was showing up. I had already known Nikki and them, so I show up, and like they already knew he was gonna ask, and so
because I had planned it, it was the 18th. It was 3 months exactly from when we met. So I was just like, I felt, it felt poetic. It felt really nice, and
So he
this
asked-
experience she was providing for me that I had to do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I immediately see her. I put her on the bed and just like, be my girlfriend. Wait, will you? And she was like, yeah.
I made him ask me a second time. I
Yeah.
was like,
She was like, wait.
what? And so then he said it again. And I was like,
Will you be my
Yes, of
girlfriend?"
course. And so went downstairs. Yeah, it was great. Nikki,
Yeah,
and
they
Penny,
were
Nikki and
celebrating
Penny
it.
were in the garage, and they were like, so, and I was like, I'm not single anymore. And they were like, oh shit. They're like, we knew that he was gonna ask, and so we ended up, starting our relationship in Vegas. So we got together in March 18th, and then we ended up.
I mean, we were pretty much inseparable.
Yeah. And so ever
I mean,
since then,
besides her
so-
working, we were inseparable.
because I was traveling a lot. But
So I was taking care of her dog. I was taking care of her car. Just cleaning it up, making sure it was nice for her when she come by and everything.
but it's been a beautiful love story. I love this man
It is.
so much.
Like
and
I'm sitting listening.
yeah, he's great.
I'm in these people's position. I'm listening. I'm like, this is
No.
the best thing ever.
Yeah, and everyone loves it too. Everyone's very supportive of our relationship.
Yeah, the first post we did, it was just a 45-second video of us just making out, and like it was just like we were just just
So passionate.
so caught
It's
up
all
in each
passion.
other.
So passionate.
Yeah,
and it still is.
We
It's
got
so passionate.
it blew up. It was like my biggest hit like tweet at the time. I was like, "Whoa, this is kind of crazy!"
And everyone wanted to see us
And everyone's
more.
saying "perfect couple, power couple," and we weren't even a couple then. And so it was like, "Whoa, we must have some magic here that other people are seeing too," because we could feel it, but we don't. Not that we care really about what other people were thinking, but it was just really cool to also get that support from like all of her fans, anybody following
That's
me.
the
Like,
thing. When something's right, it's right all the way around the
yeah.
board. It's
And so
yes.
people always feel that, and we get that from everyone all the time. Oh, your love is just so beautiful. Wow, he really loves you. Wow, she really loves you. And it's like, yeah, this is not some fake. We're just doing this for the vibes and the clout or whatever. This is
Right.
But no,
this
it's
is
been
real
beautiful.
love.
It's been beautiful.
Yeah, it's been amazing.
fantastic. Again, Mazel Tov.
Thank you. Thank you.
This is amazing.
Thank you.
We are now 57 minutes in, so we're doing fantastic. But we got to kind of wrap it up. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna, listeners of the show, watchers of our Patreons, they know this is how we end the show. I got to ask you specifically 3 questions, 3 pieces of advice that you give the up and comers in the industry. It could be anything. There's no right or wrong answer. From your perspective, 3 pieces of advice that you'd give to up and comers.
3 pieces of advice. My first one that I always tell everybody: fake it till you make it. You never know what confidence is. That no one knows if it's real. No one knows if it's actually something you feel. If you tell yourself you're confident, you tell yourself that you are the baddest bitch, that you have talent, that you are this, that, or the other, believe it. Even if at the moment you don't fully believe it, kind of trick your mind into feeling that you are as confident as you show, and like really just show confidence and do everything with intent. Don't be afraid. And, I think that was the biggest thing for me, is just like overconfidence, and just really setting yourself up, for success, and
Yeah.
I think that's my first, a piece of advice. Second, don't forget your people. Don't ever forget your people. I think that's one of the biggest things that I will always do, and I still continue to do this day. I let people know who helped me. Like I said, Nicky Sequoia was one of the first people to help me, and I love Nicky. When I won Best New Face, I thanked Nicky in my speech. I thanked Radius. They were the 2 biggest support systems for me when I started in the industry. They helped me a lot, and I will never forget that. And I will always tell people who the people that shot me first. And yeah, just don't forget the people that helped you. Don't ever, forget to give roses to the people and give credit where it's due. So I think, yeah, just don't forget your people, and stay active with your family and your friends. Try to keep your support system open all the time. And then I think the third one is just have fun. Enjoy it. I think one of the things that at the beginning, I'm a great actress, so I can make it look like I'm having the most fun, even if I'm not. But I think that's one thing, is I was worried too much about the finished product and what it looked like, and I wasn't enjoying what I was doing every moment of every day when I was shooting. I was having fun, but I was more worried about.
You were in your head.
I was more in my
was
head.
the job,
the
the job,
production,
the job,
the behind the camera, and that's what I was worried more about. And I wasn't actually enjoying what I was feeling and what I was seeing and what I was doing. And so I think I was having a little bit more trouble at the beginning because I wasn't having as much fun for real. I was worried more about what they saw than actually what I was feeling. And that's what makes your scenes better, is when you actually like
Enjoy
what
it.
you're
I
doing.
tell people all the time, the best makeup you can wear is a legitimate smile. That's the best makeup. There's no shade of red, there's no sparkles that can ever beat being in the moment, and because that's what people are paying for, right? But you're not wrong to say that you're in your head, because this is also like, we're making a product, so there's a lot of craft involved.
Yes.
So yeah, there's gonna be. You practice, your poses and the navigating being on set and politics and
The skill. Of it.
the skill of it, and like your ability to, like, every set's different. Every producer or director that you're working with is like, okay, now I got to figure out how they work, how it's going to relate to the scene, and you get caught up in your head. You get caught up in your head through like 1,000 different levels. Where's the camera? Where's the lights? What kind of lights are they using? And it's really easy to go bup, 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 bup. And, for the purpose of making something that people want to open their wallets for.
Yeah.
Eventually, I'm going to say, just to people listening, it's okay to be inside your head. You have to go through that. You have to be inside your head a little bit. That will level off, and you'll actually be able to be comfortable.
Exactly.
You know, you're not going to be perfect the first time out.
And I always want it to be perfect.
I know. But it takes, because there's so many variables from set to set. You know, it just takes time. It takes time, and it's okay. I'm 1,000 years old. I'm telling you. I got a bunch of awards over there. I know what I'm talking about. It's okay to be inside your head. You'll know, because you're in this for the long run, right?
Oh, yes.
So folks that like really want to do this, it's not just some fly-by-night, I'm just trying to make $1,000 and I'm out, or you're trying to feed a habit or something. If you're in this for the long run, realize it's going to be a gradual process. It's okay to be inside your head for a bit. The more that you get acclimated to this industry, the more comfortable you be, and then that smile's just going to come.
Yeah.
Second nature.
And the more fun you have. Yeah.
And the more fun you have. And it becomes real.
Yeah. I think when I started noticing that other people were having so much fun and I was so in my head at the sets, and I'm like sitting there like worried too much about everything else, and they're just having fun and enjoying, and they're like, the sex is sex to them, and they're enjoying, and I'm like over here going like, I feel like I'm working. Now I feel like I'm actually having really good sex, you know, and enjoying what I'm doing. So yeah, have fun with it. You know, enjoy what you're feeling, enjoy what you're doing, and do what you want. Don't do anything you don't want to do. Like
Absolutely.
that's like, you want to have fun. You want to do something that you actually are into. And I think those are the best scenes. And those have been the scenes that have gotten me even more notoriety, is like the scenes that I'm doing things that I like, which is feet and spit and, you know, crazy things that I actually do in my day-to-day life. And it's transpired into my work. And so I think that those are the scenes
Play
that
to your strengths.
Yes. And so have fun.
Absolutely. I love that. Guys, with that being said, thank you so much for being here. Nikki, Zariah, I'm going to call you Zariah. For anybody that's watching, if you ever if you never heard the name said out loud, it's not Zariah.
It's Zariah, like
Zariah.
Mariah. but
Like
with
Mariah.
and Aura.
There you go. Babies, thank you so much for being on the Approximate Podcast, and thank you guys so much for watching and listening, and we'll see you next time on the Approximate Podcast.